Atem Netzavim Hayom. Dvorim 29:9. You are standing today. This parsha is always read when, Avi?
When you're standing.
This parsha is always read right before Rosh Hashanah. So how do you say stand? Avi, you know Hebrew better than me. How do you say stand? Omed. Should have said Atem Omdim Hayom. Right, Avi? Should have said Atem Omdim Hayom. So how come it says Atem Netzavim Hayom? So the Zohar asked this question. And the Zohar says Omed means to stand, but the word Nitzav means to stand in judgment. There's a pasuk in Tehillim, Pei Bet, Elohim Nitzav Badas El, B'kerev Elohim Yishpot. So Omed means to stand, but Nitzav means to stand in judgment. We are all standing in judgment Hayom. When is Hayom? Rosh Hashanah. Doesn't matter, wood chopper, water carrier, CFO, CEO, everyone stands equally in front of Hashem. Nitzav Badin, and you can't get away from it. It's frightening. We're standing in judgment. Nitzavim Hayom, Elohim Nitzav Badas El. God is judging us. B'kerev Elohim Yishpot. Frightening. And therefore we say Psalm 27. Thank you very much. Psalm 27, we say the whole month of Elul continuing. Why is that, Elisheva, the antidote? Fasten your seatbelt for this. Why is Psalm 27 the antidote for the frightening judgment? King David says, Horeini Hashem. What does that mean, Horeini Hashem? Teach me Hashem. But the word Horeini is also the shorish of Horeh. What does Horeh mean? Parent. Who said that? Horeh means a parent. Horeini Hashem means teach me Hashem. But Horeini Hashem means, Abraham, from the word Horeh, God, remember you're my parent. You're not just my judge. You're my loving parent. Horeini Hashem. Hashem, be my parent. Even on Judgment Day, you're my parent. And since that's the case, how does King David end the Psalm, Gershom? Kaveh el Hashem. Therefore, I have a lot of what? Hope. Chazak. Because the judge happens to be what? My loving parent. Isn't that wonderful? Why we say this Psalm all month? Not from the clear blue. Horeini Hashem. God, you are my parent. Horeh.
Is that why we say Avinu?
Beautiful, David. Ooh, Avinu. Oh, you stole my thunder. Avinu Malkeinu. He's a strict king, but before that, he's what? My loving parent.
It also says in the verse that
Beautiful.
we're orphans.
What?
It says in the verse that we're orphans.
No, King David says, Ki avi vimi azavuni. My human parents have abandoned me.
That's it.
What do you mean? They ever put him up for adoption?
No, they fail us.
They died.
Passed away.
They died. My human parents died. They abandoned me. But you, God, you're my eternal parent. You never abandoned me. That's very comforting to know on Judgment Day. Horeini Hashem. Before you're my judge, you are my parent, God. So that gives me a lot of chazak. The Kaveh el Hashem. So that's why we say this psalm when the whole month of Elul and continuing on. This gives me a lot of hope.
When you start from rain, was it Hey?
Look in Psalm 27. Hey Vav Reish Nun Yud. Hey Vav Reish Nun Yud. Horeini Hashem. King David says, teach me in Psalm 27, but also means parent me. You are my parent.
You say that in the same shorish as...
No, we only say the month of Elul. Don't mix me up. The month of Elul and throughout the Yom Noraim. Okay?
What shall we say it every day?
What?
What shall we say?
Nothing. But the Ashkenazi minhag is to say it in the month of Elul throughout the Yom Noraim. And I'm giving you the reason why. So let's move on with Atem Netzavim Hayom. We're all standing here in front of Hashem. Now, if you look at the end of the Parshat, Devarim 30 verse 11. Devarim 30 verse 11. The mitzvah which I command you today is not too marvelous for you and it's not too far. Which mitzvah are we talking about? Rashi says it's speaking about the Torah as a whole. So why is the Torah called mitzvah? It should be what? Mitzvot. Devarim 30 verse 11. This mitzvah which I command you today is not too marvelous for you. Rashi says it's all the mitzvahs, but it's called one because you can't pick and choose. Right? The all 613 is what? One package. You cannot pick and choose. It's one mitzvah. Unfortunately, some Jews say some mitzvahs today, they don't apply, but the Torah disagrees. All the mitzvahs, David, are called mitzvah as one. The Torah is called a mitzvah. It says the word hayom, today. Now look at verse 15. Behold, I place in front of you today. See verse 15, Devarim 30, 15? In case you don't get it, Devarim 30, verse 18. I'm telling you, God says again the word what? Today. In case you don't get it, verse 19. I call witness today. Over and over again, the Torah keeps saying what? Today. Why is that, Rachel? Today is the first day of the rest of your life. And therefore, Avram, we make the bracha every morning, Berachat HaTorah, Baruch Ato Hashem, Notein HaTorah, right, Maddie? Notein HaTorah, because he gives us the Torah today. And over again, he keeps repeating the word today, today, today. The Torah was given 130 years ago, but it's given every single day. Notein HaTorah. And we have to know that right before what? The Yom Hadin. Before the Yom Hadin. Now, if you look at the Haftorah that we're going to read this Shabbos, it has to tie in with what? With the Yom Hadin. Yehuda, what page would that be? It's Isaiah 61. Isaiah 61. Sois osis b'Hashem. I rejoice greatly in God. Why do I rejoice greatly in God? Because we just said, because God is not just my strict judge, he's my loving parent. As David said, Avinu before Malkeinu. So even on Judgment Day, 1202, Isaiah 61, I rejoice greatly in Hashem, because he's the Avinu before Malkeinu. And therefore this Haftorah is always read right before Rosh Hashanah. Now, the prophet says something very strange. He says that when Mashiach comes, the Jewish people are going to get a new name. Did you know that, Rachel? Yes. Good thing you came today. Isaiah 61, Pasuk 4. What does God say in Isaiah 61, 4? No longer will what? You be abandoned, your land abandoned, because we're going to call you Cheftziba. What does Cheftziba mean? My desire is her. God says, the Jewish people are my love interest. You hear this, Rachel? Cheftziba. The Jewish people are going to get a new name. How do you translate it? Do you have that in English? Isaiah 61, Pasuk 4.
We don't have to start over 10.
Oh, 63. Isaiah 63, verse 4. Slicha. 62. Slicha. No. You don't have it? It's
62 or 63.
It shall no longer be said of you, forsaken one.
Right.
And of your land shall no longer be said, desolate place.
Right.
For you shall be called, my desire is in her.
Cheftziba, my desire is in her. So that will be the new name of what? Of the Jewish people. Right?
62. 62 verse 4.
Isaiah 62, 4, that's part of the Torah. That again, even on the Yom, it fits in with the Yom Hadin, Rabbi Yaakov, that even on the Yom Hadin, when we're sinners, God says, I still desire you. Isn't that uplifting Haftorah? Cheftziba, my desire is her. Who's her? Jewish people. Even though we're full of sin, God still desires us. And that is very, very comforting. That is very, very comforting. If you turn to Parshas Vayelech, usually the Parshas go together, but this year they don't. But let's look at Devarim 31, Pasuk 19. Devarim 31, Pasuk 19. Now write for yourself this song and teach it to the Jewish people. Place it in their mouths. This is the clearest verse, Rachel, that we got two Torahs. Devarim 31, 19. write for you this song. The Gemara says the song is what? The Torah. That's the written Torah, Kisvu Lechem. And then, Simo Befihem. Right? You would have placed it in their mouths. Now I know you're not going to stick it in your ear. What does God have to say? Write down the Torah and put it in your mouth. Where do you put the Torah? In your ear? Sarah said it. 2 Torahs. Kisvu Lechem Ashir Azot. That's Torah Shebiksav. Simu B'fihem, not in your ear. The Torah shall appear. Devarim 31:19 says clearly, next week's Parshat, that we receive 2 Torahs.
Where is the Devarim 31?
Parshas Vayelech. That's next week's Parshat. Devarim 31, verse 19. Write down the Shira. That's the written Torah. Place it in their mouth. That's what? The oral Torah. Now, why is the Torah called a Shira? The Torah is called a song, and this is a mitzvah that every Jewish person should write a Torah scroll for himself. The Rambam and the Sefer Chinuch count this as a mitzvah that every Jewish person should write a Sefer Torah or have someone write it for him or chip in. But why is the Torah called a shira? Why is the Torah called a song? When something is too beautiful for words, something is too beautiful for words. It's a melody. The Torah is so beautiful, it's beyond words. It's a beautiful song. And that's the beauty of the Torah. In a song, you have a tenor, you have a soprano. Everyone sings differently, but it combines in a beautiful harmony. The same thing with the oral Torah. Rav Meir said this, Rav Shimon said that, Chacham said it, Rabbi Elazar said that, Rabbi Kiva said that. Avram, it's like a beautiful song. So the Aruch HaShulchan says that. It's a beautiful song. In a choir, you have a bass, you have a tenor, soprano. They're all singing with different voices, but they blend into what? A beautiful harmony.
It's like the incense.
Right? The 11 herbs and spices, right? It all blends together. And therefore the Holy Torah is called a shira. Everyone singing with different voices, but nothing captures the heart like what? Like a beautiful melody? The Torah. Rosh Hashanah is coming up. I don't want to scare you, Rachel. What? The Yom Adin is coming up. Right? Now, it's very strange. Rosh Hashanah is called Kesel Yom Chagenu. It's called a Chag. And the Mishnah Berurah tells us that even though it's the Yom Hadin, you have to do V'samachta b'chagechas even on Rosh Hashanah. You know that? The Mishnah Berurah says that the mitzvah Samachta b'chagecha even on Rosh Hashanah, because King David calls the Yontiv Tikeh b'choy the Shofar b'keseh. Blow the shofar. What does b'keseh mean? When the moon is covered up? Because it's what? Chagenu. It's a chag. So Rosh Hashanah is what? A chag. And the Mishnah Berurah says, therefore, you should say Chag Sameach. Did you know that, Avraham?
Yes.
You should say Chag Sameach because it's a chag, even though it's not one of the 3 festivals. There's a mitzvah to have basa v'yayin. It's a chag. So says the Mishnah Berurah. The question is, if it's a chag, why don't you say Hallel? Why don't you say Hallel? The Gemara asked that question. So let me give you the Gemara's answer, Ray, and I'll give you my answer. Which you want to hear first?
Yours.
No, I want the Gemara's answer. The Gemara says, you're right, it's a chag, but Masha, halacha lives in the real world. God says, Sifrei Chayim v'Sifrei Mesim Niftachim, the book of the living and the book of the dead are open, and you're just not, how do you say matzav ruach in English?
Mood.
You're not in the mood, thank you. You're not in the mood to say Hallel, even though it's a chag, and you should rejoice, but practically we are very nervous, Ray. So therefore, halacha lives in the real world, we don't have the proper mood, and therefore we don't say Hallel, even though we should, because it's Yom Tov. That's the Gemara's teretz. Avram, you want to hear my teretz now?
Yes.
My teretz is, David, I think you'll like it. Hallel is praise. Praise. Rosh Hashanah, God is judging me. I can't butter up the judge. Isn't that bribery? It's like Shoichat the Shofet, Kaviyachol. So I want to say that Hallel is buttering up, is praising, And we can't do that on Rosh Hashanah because God assumes the role of what? Of shofet. So you can't say, oh, judge, you're great and this and that. It's called, I don't want to hear it on the judgment day. Strictly about judgment, and therefore you don't say Hallel on Rosh Hashanah because it's all about judgment. It's all about judgment. Bakeseh. King David says, blow the shofar bakeseh, when the moon is covered up. But the Zohar also said, what else is covered up on Rosh Hashanah? Din is covered up. No, Rosh Chodesh is covered up. We don't mention Rosh Chodesh. It's very strange, Avi. When Shabbos falls on Rosh Chodesh, what's holier? Shabbos is much holier. You still mention Rosh Chodesh. Every Rosh Chodesh, Rosh Hashanah is also Rosh Chodesh, and for some reason we don't mention it. Don't mention it. So Rav Soloveitchik asked the question, why is Rosh Chodesh covered up? Rosh Hashanah, yes, Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, you give cover to Rosh Chodesh. In the Musaf you mention Rosh Chodesh. Here, Rosh Hashanah is also Rosh Chodesh, and for some reason, Sarah, there's a Watergate. You don't mention Rosh Chodesh, even though every Rosh Hashanah is what? Rosh Chodesh. And Tosas Rosh Hashanah says that they didn't bring a Musaf Rosh Chodesh on Rosh Hashanah. They brought a regular Olah, but not they went so far that they covered up the Musaf Rosh Chodesh when? On Rosh Hashanah in the temple. Maddie, the great cover-up. The question is why? Why do we cover up Rosh Chodesh and Rosh Hashanah? We don't bench Rosh Chodesh, right? Why don't you bench Rosh Chodesh? This Shabbos is going to be Mevarkim. Do you bench Rosh Chodesh Tishrei?
Yes.
No.
You do have a Kiddush.
There's no Kiddush. But they don't bench Rosh Chodesh,
You have a Kiddush.
right? We don't mention it. We don't mention Rosh Chodesh. We go so far as to censor the davening. We take out the Musaf Rosh Chodesh, and we don't even announce it like a normal Rosh Chodesh Avim. What's it all about?
By celebrating the verdict before the verdict.
Rosh Chodesh is a holiday on its own. Why is it totally ignored, covered up? Says the great Rav Soloveitchik. He's sitting down. He says as follows. He says Rosh Chodesh represents the mazal of a person. How do you say that in English? A person's destiny, his fortune, the mazal, the monotony of teva, the rote of teva, a person's mazal and destiny. What do we say in Rosh Hashanah? Tshuva, tefillah, u'tzedakah, ma'avirin roya ha'gezeira. What does that mean, Gershom? Through tshuva, tefillah, and tzedakah, we can cancel the roya ha'gezeira.
The judgment.
Roya ha'gezeira means bad mazel.
Bad mazel.
So Rav Soloveitchik says the roya ha'gezeira, that's Rosh Chodesh mazel. That's for the person, his destiny. But I don't want to mention that on Rosh Hashanah. Because Rosh Hashanah, Ray, I rise above my mazel. Through tshuva, tefillah, tzedakah, I cancel. The roya ha'gezeira is the negative mazel, the negative destiny. Represented by what? Rosh Chodesh, thank you. Shh, don't mention it. You did great salvation. Don't mention it. God says, don't accept that Rosh Chodesh mazel. You can do better than that. Tshuva, tefillah, tzedakah, ma'avirin roya ha'gezeira. On Rosh Hashanah, you rise above your mazel. You break out of the Rosh Chodesh mold. You can change your destiny through tshuva, tefillah, tzedakah, repentance, prayer, and charity. And therefore, we don't mention anything about what? Rosh Chodesh on when? Rosh Hashanah. Because Rosh Chodesh represents a person's roya ha'gezeira, his negative mazel, the destiny that every person is born with. The Ramban asked an interesting question. Why does Rosh Hashanah come before Yom Kippur? Wouldn't it make more sense, Sarah? First, give me Yom Kippur. I'll get nice and atoned. Now I'm ready to stand in judgment. You Nachmani's question? Avi, let's change the system. First, we should do Yom Kippur. I get nice and atoned for. Now I'm ready to stand what? In judgment. But no. God puts Judgment Day first with all of our shame and all of our guilt. And Yom Kippur comes only 9 days later. Why is that, Abraham? So the Ramban answers, Yom Kippur is not a free lunch. He said to the pachat of Emas Hadin, how do you say that in English? The fear and the fright of the Emas Hadin, of the fear of judgment, standing in front of God with all of our shame and guilt, that earned for us Yom Kippur. In other words, we bought Yom Kippur with the shame and the guilt and the fear of the Yom Hadin. So therefore God puts Yom Kippur last. You have to go through the shame and the fear and the anxiety, high anxiety. That bought us a ticket for what? Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is not a free lunch, get it? No free lunch, says Nachmanides. Ha ha ha. No free lunch. The Emes Hadin, the pachat of the din, earned for us what? The Yom Kippurim 9 days later, and therefore Rosh Hashanah comes first. Yes, it's good to feel guilty. It's good to feel ashamed. Yes, guilt is a good thing. This way, you'll change your evil ways. If a person is not guilty, he'll never change. What? Guilt is not greed. I said guilt. I didn't say greed. Right?
You were hoping for greed.
Right?
Who said this? Rabbi Sprecher, who was it that said that?
Nachmanides. Therefore, Rosh Hashanah comes first, and then Yom Kippur. Now, I want to give you a chiddush that one of my Talmidim said. Okay, it's so true. Metalmida yota mikulam. Metalmida yota mikulam. How do you say that in English? From students you learn more from. From Yaakov Meir, and he said this gewaltige Wort. The Torah calls Rosh Hashanah 2 words. Yom Teruah. Yom Teruah. That's all. Yom Teruah. Uncle says Yom Yabava, a day of weeping. Yom Yabava, a day of weeping. A Yom Shel Bechi. Who's weeping? Now, who's weeping? So there's an amazing Rashi in Parshas Toldot. Rashi says, when Yitzchak Avinu was bound on the Mizbeach, when did the Akedah take place? On Rosh Hashanah. Now, when Yitzchak Avinu was bound on the Akedah, and the Medrash says the Akedah took place when, Abraham? On Rosh Hashanah. Therefore, we read the Akedah story when? Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara Rosh Hashanah Tezayin says something. Why do we blow with a ram's horn? God says, blow a ram's horn on Rosh Hashanah, and I will remember for you the Akedat Yitzchak, which took place when? On Rosh Hashanah, and I will consider it as if you bound yourself, the word Akedah, if you tied yourself up for me on Rosh Hashanah. So we do the blowing of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, we're going through a virtual Akedah. Why? And why is Yom Teruah, come blow your horn? Don't blow it. Or do blow it. What? Why a ram's horn? So Unkala says, in 2 words, a day of weeping. A day of weeping. The shofar is supposed to remind us of weeping. Who's weeping?
Sarah.
Who's, what?
The angels.
Man's beautiful. Mechavan to my Talmud Yaakov Meir. Rashi in Parshas, a great chiddush, I think. Rashi in Parshas told us as follows. When Yitzchak Avinu was nekad, tied up on the Mizbeach, the Malachei Hashorais began to weep. That's what Rashi quotes the Midrash. So Gershom just said that we're trying to, what's the word, replicate, duplicate, emulate the weeping of the Malachim, that they wept on Rosh Hashanah on the Akedah, and they should weep again for us. So every Rosh Hashanah we go through this, what's it called, Avi, the virtual Akedah. We're trying to get the Malachim to continue to weep for us, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should be merciful. So that's the Yom Yav, the weeping, to emulate, to wake up the tears of the Malachim that they wept 3,800 years ago on the Akedah Yitzchak, which took place when? On Rosh Hashanah. So we play out that, what's the word, scenario? By blowing the ram's horn. We weep and the angels weep. And that's going to turn what? A sin into a win. Gershom, I like what you said. Okay. The angels weeping. Rashi in Parshat Toldos says that. That's exactly what he says. Now, Rosh Hashanah is 2 days. Even in Pisgat Zev. I mean, even in Ashkelon. Why is it 2 days, right?
Maybe not.
What? Why is it 2 days even in Ashkelon, Yehuda? There are many answers. Rosh Hashanah, we have this, what's the word, dichotomy? On the one hand, it's an awesome day of judgment. Right. On the other hand, the Mishnah Berurah says you should say Chag Sameach. What's it called? Split personality? What's it called? The bipolar. It's an awesome day of judgment. I'm on trial for my life. And it's also Chag Sameach, says the Mishnah Berurah. You have to eat and drink and rejoice. So perhaps, Yehuda, that's why they're 2 days. Avi, you with me on this? My Chiddush. 1 day to express the awesome, fearsome judgment day. And the next day to express what? Chag Sameach. And perhaps that's why Rosh Hashanah is what? Is 2 days.
Suffer first and then eat after.
What? This is my explanation. Rabbi Abramson. This is my, but the Ariyah Kodesh has another one. 1 down, 69 to go, Avram. You with me? Why Rosh Hashanah is 2 days? We know that the heavenly court, David, follows what? The human court. How do we know that? There's a Mishnah Avot, Da Malamala Mimcha. Know what's above you. But Chaim Belazar says we're not punctuating the Mishnah properly. Let's eat, Grandpa? Let's eat, Grandpa. Da Malamala. If you want to know, the Mishnah Avot, what the heavenly court is doing, how they operate, Mimcha. It depends on the human court. Says the Ariyah Kodesh as follows. In the human court, if a person is on trial for his life, it's a capital crime. If the Sanhedrin want to find him innocent, sentence pronounced when? Same day. But if they want to find him guilty, Elishev, of a capital charge, they're not permitted to pronounce the sentence on the same day. They have to have, it's called Linat Hadin. What does that mean? Sleep on it. The judges have to sleep on it. They're not allowed to pronounce a guilty sentence of death on the same day. They have to sleep on it. Perhaps the next day some merit would be found, which wasn't found on the first day, that will change the guilty verdict into what? Innocent. Says the Ariyah Kodesh, if that's true in the Bezin Shalmata, it's also true Bezin Shalmala. Yiddish Avi. We're all on trial for our lives on Rosh Hashanah. And maybe someone comes up short, Lo Yaleinu. So God says what? Give them another day. Lina Sadin, you got to follow Bezin Shalmata. Sleep on it. Perhaps the second day of Rosh Hashanah, a Jew will have another, how do you say, a krechts, a sigh, a feeling of tshuva, and that will change the guilty verdict into an innocent. And therefore, Rosh Hashanah is 2 days. Concept is called Lina Sadin, where you have to sleep on the judgment. You're not allowed to pronounce a guilty verdict viewed on the same day. And therefore, we have a second day of Rosh Hashanah. That's the Ariyah Kodesh. He also says that unlike Yom Kippur, which is only for the Jewish people, Ray, Rosh Hashanah is a universal judgment day. The Mishnah says every human being is judged on Rosh Hashanah. So the Rebbe said the first day, God judges us, and the second day he judges the UN. So therefore Rosh Hashanah is 2 days, 1 day for us, and 1 day where he judges mankind as a whole, and therefore Rosh Hashanah is 2 days. Yom Kippur is only for the Jewish people, David. Therefore Yom Kippur is only what?
1 day.
1 day. It's only for us.
Who says it?
The Ariyah Kodesh says that. Since it's a universal day, 1 day he judges us, and the second day is for the rest of the world. And that's another reason why Rosh Hashanah is what? Is 2 days. Is 2 days. Now, Unkala says Yom Yabava. It's a day of weeping. So Gershom said, very good. It's to remind us of the weeping of the Malachim, and we should weep. But there's a problem. You look in the book of Nehemiah, the Jews were weeping on Rosh Hashanah, and Nehemiah tells them, Al tifku, al titablu ve'al tifku. Nehemiah tells them, stop being sad and stop crying. He says, today is a simcha gedolah. Rosh Hashanah is Simcha Gedolah. He tells them, go home, lecho v'lishtot, u'l'shalach monot. Nehemiah chapter 8 says that on Rosh Hashanah you should send shalach monot. For some reason, Allah did not accept that. Nehemiah was a contemporary of Mordechai and Esther. Mordechai and Esther and Megillah say you should send shalach monot on Purim. We do that. But for some reason, Halacha did not accept Nehemiah chapter 8, where he says that on Rosh Hashanah you should send shalach monot. But the storekeepers in Machne Yehuda, Abraham, they learned this Nehemiah. You see they have beautiful baskets, looks like Purim. You go to Machne Yehuda now, looks like Purim. The storekeepers are Talmidei Chachamim, they learned Nehemiah chapter 8. It says, U'l'shalach monot.
They show him outside too.
Nehemiah chapter 8. But Chava, I don't know why Halacha rejected it. Okay? That's a homework assignment. But anyway, he tells them, Nehemiah tells them, and Ezra tells them, stop crying. Don't be sad. And the Vilna Gaon says in Ma'aser Rav, Ve'ein lifkot b'Rosh Hashanah. You're not allowed to cry in Rosh Hashanah. Because Ezra and Nehemiah tell us in chapter 8, Al tivku. But we got a problem, Chava. Because the Ariyah Kodesh says, you should cry on Rosh Hashanah. The Ariyah Kodesh says, if you don't cry on Rosh Hashanah, Ein nishmato tova v'shleima. What does that mean? Your neshama is not complete. It's nebuch lacking. So we got a problem here, right? The Vilna Gaon says you're not allowed to cry on Rosh Hashanah, Avram, because he quotes Ezra and Nehemiah, chapter 8. Nehemiah says, stop crying, stop crying, stop crying. And the Ariyah Kodesh says, forget about it. You're supposed to cry on Rosh Hashanah. I'm mixed up. And we know when two superstars disagree, Ray, Elu v'Elu divrei Elohim chayim. These and those are both the words of living God, remember? Erevin, page 13, Shammai said this, Hillel said that. God said, you know what? You're both right. What? You're also right. You know the story, right? So how do we make shalom between the Ari and what? And the Ma'aser Rav, the Vilna Gaon? It's in the text. Nehemiah tells them, stop crying, v'al te'otzevu, v'al to'atzevu. He keeps repeating that. Stop crying and stop being depressed. You hear this? The bechi shel atzvut is not allowed. Avi, how do you say that in English? The bechi shel atzvut.
The cries of sadness.
That's not allowed because it's yontif. But when Ezra, that's what Ezra said. Al tifku v'al te'etzevu. They keep repeating it in chapter 8 Nehemiah. So Ezra and Nehemiah telling you what type of crying is not allowed. Sadness crying. Because it's yontif. Beautiful. Sarah, you're ahead of me. But when the Ariyah Kodesh says you should cry, he means what? Tears of joy. Tears of joy. That I have the awesome privilege to coronate the King of Kings. Shouldn't that make me cry of happiness? You see, when two superstars disagree, they're right, they're both right. Yes, tears of sadness are not allowed. And Ezra keeps saying, Al te'etzevu, Al te'etzevu. Those type of tears is not allowed. Tears of depression, because on Yom Tov, not allowed to be sad and depressed. But the Ariyah Kodesh is speaking about Yom Yabava. Uncle says a day of tears, it means tears of joy. The angels were crying tears of joy. Look how much Yitzchak Avinu loves God. He's willing to give his life for God. Mi kamcha Yisrael. God, look what kind of people you have. Avram and Yitzchak, and how many Jewish martyrs there were. Those tears of joy, how much we're madly in love with the one above. Shouldn't that make the angels cry? That's the Yom Yabav Avram. It's tears of joy. How much God loves us and how much we love Him. And how much God thinks of me. Ray, He waits for me all year long to coronate Him. I'm not making this up. Because the Mishnah says in Sanhedrin 37, Bishvili nivra olam. What does that mean, Avram? You know Hebrew. Mishnah 37, Sanhedrin. The whole universe is created only for me. For me. It means God waits for me to coronate him on Rosh Hashanah. Shouldn't that make me weep with tears of joy? So you see, the Meiser Rav is right, the Vilna Gaon is right, and the Real Kodesh is right. You should cry on Rosh Hashanah, but tears of joy and happiness that the judge happens to be my loving parent. As David Harel said, the Yavinu before Malkeinu. David, I could have summed up the whole shir. That the Yavinu is before Malkeinu. He's my loving parent before the judge. That should make me cry tears of joy, but not tears of happiness. All right? Now, isn't it strange that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so, what's the word, magnanimous? He gave us so many emotions. He gave us such a variety of foods, right? Avram, everything could have looked and tasted like a potato. We still would eat it, right?
It'd be easier to diet.
Right? Everything could look and taste like a potato. And we'd still eat it. We need the vitamins. So how come you have a beautiful shiny red apple and an orange, and avocado, each with a different taste, each with a different odor, a different smell, unique taste, and it's wrapped, a shiny orange, a beautiful yellow apple, a red apple. It's gift wrapped. Each with a unique smell and odor and taste. Why did God have to do that? How much He loves us, to entertain us. The fruits and veggies of the Machne Yehuda, right? As Rav Shalom Gold says, you want to feel the Shekhinah, go to the Kotel. You want to see the Shekhinah, go to Machne Yehuda. Not a joke. The Bach says in Orach Chaim, when you eat the fruits and veggies of Eretz Yisrael, you are taking in the Shekhinah. The Bach in Orach Chaim says that the Shekhinah is in the fruits and veggies of Israel. It's such a beautiful array. The color, dazzling, fruits and vegetables, dazzling display. And the flowers, each with a new smell. Why did God do that? To entertain us. Let me entertain you.
Let me make you smile.
That's right. That's what God said. Let me make you smile. So, Chava, isn't it strange that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when it comes to emotions, I should express great sorrow and great joy the exact same way? Person feels great sorrow, he cries. Person feels great joy. When Jackie Mason tells jokes, people cry, right? With laughter, right? Should I tell you one Jackie Mason joke?
Yes.
One. He says, I walked into the dining room of Grossinger's. Remember Grossinger's? Walked in the dining room of Grossinger's. And the people, they're studying the menu. They're studying the menu. They're studying the menu. He says, listen, lady, it's not Kabbalah. What are you studying the menu with such intensity? He says. It's not Kabbalah. It's just a menu. Come on. He said he never saw so much kavanah by davening in Musaf Rosh Hashanah as they're studying the menu. Such kavanah, what's going on? He said.
I like it when he says when a Jew walks into a restaurant, they give him a seat. He says, "You call this a seat for a person like me?"
Right? Halavai we should daven Shemon Esrei with such kavanah on Rosh Hashanah as they study the menu at Grossinger's. Right? So anyway, you laugh, and you have tears of joy.
You forgot the next line that he said.
What?
When the waiter comes over, they say, so what's on the menu?
Nachon. But where was I? Ray. So why does Hashem have us express great sorrow and great joy the exact same way with tears?
All the same thing.
To prove that what?
Everything is one.
Everything is one. Whether it's tears of joy or chas v'sholom, tears of sadness, it's all one address. It's all Hashem. So to teach me that, He has me express great sorrow, chas v'sholom, and great joy the exact same way, to teach me that's all one source. And that's actually summed up in the Shema Yisrael. And that's why it's the most important statement of Judaism. Every Jew wants to die with that sentence. Why is that Judaism in a nutshell, Avram? Shema Yisrael. Listen, Jew. You're talking to your guy in the mirror. Hashem, what's Hashem? Yud Kei Vav Kei is what? Rach is tears of what? Of joy. What's Elokeinu, chas v'sholem? Tears of sorrow. Hashem echad. It's all one. Do I see it, Chava? No. So when I say the Shema, I what? I cover my eyes because I can't see it. I believe it, but I don't see it.
Can't use your.
He doesn't want me to see it. He wants me to see Hashem, tears of joy. He wants me to see Chas v'Sholom Elokeinu, sadness and depression. He wants me to see that. But we believe that Hashem Echad. So I believe it, but I don't see it, so I cover my eyes. Zechariah 14 says, Bayoimahu, yeah, Hashem Echad, Ushmo Echad. On that day, God will be one when His name. Now He's not one. The Gemara asked. Now He's one, but I can't see the oneness. I see tears of sorrow and I see tears of joy. So it looks like it's two separate things, and He wants me to see it that way. But Achar Me'ev Esrim says Bayoimahu. When the bodysuit comes off, looking, it's Gemara Pesachim, page 50, looking back with the perspective of eternity, I'll see how even the tears of sorrow, even the Elokeinu, which is sorrow and suffering, Elokeinu, is Hashem Echad. Now I can't see it, I cover my eyes, I believe it. But Zechariah says in Olam Ha'emet, I wouldn't have to cover my eyes anymore. I'll see how all of the tzoros, it's all part of the plan. It's all Hashem Echad. That's Yahadut in one sentence, Avraham. That's Yahadut in one sentence. And therefore, the happiest day on the Jewish calendar, says the Mishnah Tainus, is what? Yom Kippur. The saddest day in the Jewish calendar is when? Tisha B'Av. Aren't they celebrated, Maddie, the exact same way? Strange. The happiest day in the Jewish calendar, and the saddest day, the black fast and the white fast, a tale of two fasts. Tale of two fasts. Like that, right, Maddie? I'll celebrate exactly the same way. Isn't that bizarre? It's not bizarre. It's not bizarre. It's what? To prove that what? It's all one. It's all one. So the saddest day, Tisha B'Av, and the happiest day, the Mishnah says, is Yom Kippur, is celebrated the exact same way, the black fast and the white fast, to prove that there's only one address.
Yom Kippur
right.
That the rice is for fasting, but the other restrictions, marital relations, leather, etc., are all
right. But they observed exactly like Tisha B'Av. They observed exactly. It's actually a pasuk in Isaiah chapter 4. God says, "Yotze or borech choshech." God says, "Yotze or." What does that mean? I form light. Uborech choshech, and I create dark. Ose shalom, I make peace. Uborei ra, ani Hashem ose kol eleh. He tells Isaiah 45. The Anshe Knesset Agdola, they played around with the text, Rabbi Everson. They changed it, Boreh Takol. They never dared tamper with the text of Avram. This is a kasha you ask maybe your rabbi in your shul. When you say the davening every morning, Yotze Ora Boreh Choseh, Osa Sholav Boreh Hakol. But that's not what Isaiah 45 says. Isaiah 45, God says, Uborei Ra, Ani Hashem Osa Kol Eleh. What right did the Anshe Knesset Agdola Chava have to tamper with the text? I guess they felt some people couldn't handle it. Well, I don't know, but the text says, God says, I create evil. It's all one address. It's all one.
But it takes less time to say Borei Takol.
It takes less time. But they never ever dared change a pasuk. This is a kasha for Kiyat Moshe, maybe for those people. Never did they dare change a verse in Tanakh. This is the only time, Gershon. I don't have an answer. It's a cliffhanger. But it's strange. But this is the idea, and this same idea goes so far that Tosfos in Rosh Hashanah says we blow 100 shofar blasts on Rosh Hashanah to nullify the 100 sobs that Sisera's mother cried. So what does my shofar blast have to do, Abraham, with Arafat's mother? And she wept 100 wails when she knows Sonny Boy ain't coming back. The Tosfos Rosh Hashanah Daf Lamed Gimel. So therefore, we have to blow 100 shofar blasts. What has it got to do with Arafat's mother weeping? Sonny boy ain't coming home. She wept 100 sobs, boo-hoo. So we, Maddie, have to blow 100 shofar blasts. What does it got to do with anything? This is the idea. That even the Sisaras in the world, that even the evil in the world, on the Yom Hadin, when we blow the shofar, we acknowledge that even the Arafats of the world is all part of his plan. You get the idea?
Hard to accept.
Rav Soloveitchik says that. We acknowledge that even evil, it's part of his plan, even though it makes no sense to me. But when I blow the shofar, I coronate him. That yes, even Arafat's mother, it's part of the divine plan. I acknowledge it, I accept it, even though I don't understand it. He doesn't want me to understand it.
I do.
This is the test.
Did we forget
This is
to
the
properly
test.
somebody?
What?
Did the Jewish people forget to mourn someone properly? I wonder if it's in juxtaposition. It's a question. It's not. I don't have a point, actually. I just have a question based on what you said.
Not that I know of, but this is the idea. I hope I see you next year.